pour energy into your creativity, because no one's going to do it for you. If you don't do it, it will dry up. And you are going to have to get back into it anyway. I always describe it as the misery cul-de-sac. So it's like, we all have times in our life when you could go down the misery cul-de-sac, but the only way out of the misery cul-de-sac is back out the entrance. So don't bother spending much time in the misery cul-de-sac where there is no happiness, no creativity, no light, no passion, no excitement. You see that every day online. Fuck it. Go leave the misery cul-de-sac and stay in I haven't got further than what's outside the misery cul-de-sac, but just don't go there.
If you think graphic design or illustration are challenging industries, try filmmaking. Although technology has made the craft more accessible and affordable, opening up loads of opportunities for anyone passionate about storytelling, the increased competition and ongoing cultural shifts mean that writing scripts and shooting scenes is more difficult than ever. The entire sector continues to adapt as the way we consume movies seems to change yearly, if not weekly, not to mention the recent Hollywood strikes that, although deemed necessary, certainly didn't make life easier for those independents fighting for recognition and income. This week's guest is no stranger to these things. Miles Watts is a British independent director and screenwriter for Hollywood, as well as a producer. He's made 4 of his own movies so far, and is a co-host on a Hammer horror podcast called Hammerheads. And whenever he can, he tours the UK to teach screenwriting and film production at schools and universities. Miles says that he's been making movies since he was a kid. So with everything that's changed since the late 1970s in the film industry, we wanted to know what it takes to survive this often brutal sector, from the glory days of 1980s cinema to some of the best films and TV shows today. Miles gives us a fascinating insight into his world. He shares how you have to overcome rejection many times over and why you have to stop focusing so much on that ultimate goal, perhaps holding that Oscar and thanking all you love and work with, and instead find joy in the struggle, the journey. I guess that's something we can all relate to. The theme we're talking about today is the magic of filmmaking and surviving Hollywood. Gosh, can't even get my words out. I wouldn't last 2 seconds in one of your movies, Miles. Thanks for joining us.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I mean, you're in a really professional studio here. I feel like I need some more friends who work in the movie business.
Yeah, this is not mine. This is a pal of mine, Ed Gray, who's a sound designer who happens to be a new neighbour of mine.
Oh, how handy.
So I just said, dude, I'm doing a podcast and I want to sound good. Can you? And he went, yeah, pop round, I'll set you up. And he's got this amazing recording studio in his house. I mean, everyone needs a sound designer for a neighbour, don't they?
I know. I'm looking around at all the kind of keyboards and things. Anyway, this isn't about Ed. This is about you today, Miles. And
he's got a zither, though. He showed me his zither just now.
What the hell is that?
It's an amazing instrument that he's tuning up.
Oh.
It goes...
Oh, I feel really kind of uncultured now and silly.
Don't worry about it. Every day's a school day.
Every day is a school day, exactly. I've never been shy of, on this podcast, holding my hand up and saying, I don't know.
Yes.
Which is
in fact, more people should do that, I think. Yeah, more people should do that in life instead of going, yeah, I know everything. I've read it all on Twitter. It's like, no, just say you didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a great way to get yourself out of a tricky situation. You just say, I'm not sure about that.
I don't know. How I've done my whole career, which, we'll come to.
I have no idea either, but here we go. So we are talking about making movies and, I have to sort of let our listeners know how old you are. You were born in July 1974, darling.
I was, yes.
4 years older than me, just for a little context, because we're going to be dipping and diving in and out of movies from our youth and how things have changed over the decades since. I mean, gosh, 1974. What, isn't it strange? I read something, I think it was on Instagram. If Marty McFly went back in time now, he would be going back in time to 1994.
Yeah.
Hell.
Yeah. I've had conversations like this quite a lot. It's quite scary, isn't it? Because 1994, I remember very well. I was about to go to uni and And I remember the 90s bit better than I remember the 80s probably, because I came of age in the 80s, I guess. I was a kid. But 1990, I turned 16, and I remember that a bit more clearly. But I do remember the 80s very, very well, especially the movies.
Didn't we all? And it was a magical, magical time for filmmaking, and Steven Spielberg and blockbuster films in the cinema, and going to the video store with your parents to pick out something for you whilst they picked out something for them. It was a glorious time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember because I grew up in Harrogate, which is a very posh Dalestown, really. And we had the local BP garage, and they had a back room. It's still there, actually, not the back room with the videos in it. That sounds really dodgy. That wasn't like a back room. It was a room with videos
behind
in it.
The sort of velvet curtain.
Yes, well, it was sort of like that. So, yeah, you went in to see if they'd got the latest releases, and, they've only got 2 copies of Empire Strikes Back, damn it, and they're both out, that kind of thing. And but there were loads of horror film covers with amazing artwork by, people like Graham Humphreys and stuff like that, Evil Dead and stuff. So you kind of like, ooh, what's that? That looks really, really naughty and violent and horrible. I'm going to rent that one day.
You're giving me a little bit of a glimpse inside a little boy's mind there. And,
it's terrifying.
Terrifying. So you got into illustration first then, before you got into filmmaking, or is there a combo going on here?
I think it's when you're a kid and you're creative and you hate school. I just was not, I will get into this, but I was such a daydreamer at school, and still am. My teachers always used to say, and it says on all my reports, Miles looks like he'd rather be off doing anything else than learning. And I was a kind of frustrated artist. So I did an art A-level, and I had an amazing art A-level teacher called Mr. Dowling, who is a real rebel. I think I've been attracted to rebellious punks my whole life. My English teacher at school as well, Mr. Levitsky, again, he was a real bohemian outsider, and it just inspired me. So I was always drawn to, I was like, these are the subjects for me, art and English. And I was a frustrated illustrator. And I think about in 1988, when Who Framed Roger Rabbit came out, first film mention of the, I wanted to be an animator suddenly. I was like, I want to be an animator. So I started drawing loads of cartoons, Tintin, just copying stuff. Then I realized it was too much work to be an animator. And really that you had to really, you have to go do an art degree. And, I did 3 months of an art degree and went, nah, this is not for me. So, I've always been a frustrated illustrator, really. And I did things like started storyboarding my own scripts to see what it would, and it looked like everyone had been in car crashes. They all had 3 legs and elbows that bent the wrong way and stuff. But I gave it my best. But so, even today when I see amazing comic artists, I just think you are so talented, and I wish I could do what you do.
I know. And now, gosh, I mean, in hindsight, it's easy to say, obviously, but with AI, the whole industry's changing again, isn't it? Are these people who worked so hard to get that degree and build their skills, are their kind of jobs, their professions at risk now?
Yeah, although what's quite refreshing is to see people's reactions to AI. Some are like, hey, look, I did a thing on AI. And I would say 75% of the reactions are, I hate AI. So, this is creepy. It's rubbish. But I don't think it's going to, I think there'll always be things that take creative jobs away from people, which is it's just the way it is. You've got to fight the good fight, don't you? But AI is just the latest thing. But again, we'll probably get into this, but the way they had to put AI and digital duplication stipulations into Hollywood contracts now, and obviously they got their way for a few years, the actors and artists, and they're saying, don't write scripts using AI. There are hundreds of thousands of people who could do a better job. Fine, play around with AI, see what it can do, but keep it to the side for now, and don't replace things immediately because, this is a new thing, let's replace people.
Yeah. I suppose in a good way, it takes away a lot of the kind of really draining, boring tasks of drawing endless landscapes for animation movies. Sure. And so probably from a sort of optimistic point of view, makes the job of an animator easier and more efficient, but hopefully doesn't replace.
Yeah, and it's a tool. And I wonder what happened, Gertie the dinosaur is one of the first animations that came out, and they hadn't developed cell animation there. So, because the way traditional animation works is you have a background that's just drawn and it's always there, and you put cells of the characters over the top, and only they change. So you only have to draw the characters. You don't have to redraw the background every time, which they did for Gertie the dinosaur. So I imagine when cell animation came in, they would go, oh, it was being replaced with a new technique. But then obviously, and then when computers came in, it's like, oh God, everything's being replaced. But I think that there's a balance. Like at the moment, there seems to be everything's pushing towards AI and a digital replacement, but things are coming back again already. Like things like Across the Spider-Verse, which, it's traditional animation. It's sort of mix of hand-drawn and computer, and they're very proud of the technique. And again, going back to Roger Rabbit, it was hand-drawn. It was all hand-drawn animation over film. And it's so beautifully done. I don't think it's ever been topped. You couldn't necessarily come out now with a Roger Rabbit movie that was computer animated and go, that's better. Because people would go, is it though? I mean...
Doesn't have the same magic.
Yeah, that's it. It's the magic and that film was hard to make by all accounts. But I think it's that, and again, we're talking from a creative point of view. This is the Creative Boom podcast, obviously. But creativity is a very human thing. And I think when you start replacing, fine, it's great if you use things as tools. I mean, I'm sat in a recording studio which has got all these amazing gadgets which are making things easier for me, but I'm still talking to you with words, and I'm talking about, we're going to be talking about a very handmade approach to stuff, not pressing a button and going, there we go, the script is written. I've got to sit down and do the work. Again, it's not these labor-saving things. A Hoover is a labor-saving device. You don't want to get down on your hands and knees and pick all the bits off the carpet.
Of course not.
But unless you've just hoovered and there's bits left, and you do because you're fastidious like me.
Yeah.
But then you don't want to press a button that says "write horror film" and it just be done for you. Where's the fun in that? To quote Sam Neill in Jurassic Park.
No fun at all. Oh God, I'm going to love all these movie references.
That's my life, Katie. That's just everything. Everything is a movie.
A geek off. We'll have to.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, it's just wonderful. So okay, then let's go back a bit. What was the first movie you ever saw?
I think I'd like to say E.T., but I know the first movie I ever saw was the year before that. The first movie I remember seeing at the cinema was The Fox and the Hound.
Oh.
Which is a beautiful Disney cartoon from 1981 about a fox and a hound who are friends when they're puppies, but then they grow up and the fox becomes a fox, as in enemy of the hound, and the hound is like charged with tracking him down. I remember coming out of the cinema and being quite affected by that because it's quite dark. There's a point where they fell out and they were fighting and you were like, oh no, but they were friends. And so that's the first one I remember. But the first one that absolutely knocked my block off was the year after, which was E.T.
Oh.
I think I went to see that with my oldest friend, Marcus, who we're both 50 this year.
Oh.
So we've known each other for 45 years. So we were 8 years old when we went to see E.T. I think I saw it with Marcus and my sister and my dad. And again, it was mysterious. The beginning is mysterious. It's almost like a horror film. Like, what are these strange little creatures in the forest? What's that noise? And it blew me away. And I remember the months leading up to E.T. because America got it before we did, about 4 or 5 months before we did. We got it at Christmas 1982. So I was so thrilled to see it. Didn't really know what E.T. looked like. It wasn't like he was everywhere. They kept him quite secret. So I came out of that film different. I was a different person at 8 coming out of E.T.
It's quite dramatic, actually. It deals with a lot of big themes for a sort of what's supposed to be a family movie.
Yeah. Well, my girlfriend Vicky went to see it, and she didn't. She's a bit younger than me, so she didn't see it at the cinema. She saw it on video, but she was up at the window afterwards going, "E.T. come home, E.T. come home," and her mum was like, "Oh God, what have we done?" Yeah. And it puts you through the ringer, does E.T. It's funny, it's cute, it's dark, but it's about being lonely and loss and saying goodbye and growing up and dealing with all these horrible real things. And I've watched E.T. every year now for the last, whatever it is, 40 plus years.
Do you always cry at the end?
Always cry. In fact, what I try and do sometimes, and it's my partner Vicky's favourite movie as well, which is great. We started talking about what our favourite movies were when we met, and it was like E.T. I was like, yeah, we're going to end up together. And the bit, I try and keep it in for the first hour and a quarter, and then the bit that I absolutely cannot not lose it at is when they give him the ECG, electric shock, and it cuts to Gertie, Drew Barrymore, and the way she reacts is just this little 8-year-old girl. And it, if I'm holding tears in, they actually fall out my eyes at that point. It is so, and apparently it's a real reaction because they created E.T. to feel real to the kids on the set. Oh gosh,
that's brutal.
Yeah, so I don't know if you've ever seen, there's an amazing making of on the Blu-ray. And it's got all of that, you know, and they shot it more or less in sequence so the kids would react realistically. Oh,
I love little details like this about your favourite movies are just gold, aren't they? Do you always watch the director's cuts and the kind of the narration?
I try to do that as much as possible because I've got quite a prodigious Blu-ray collection these days that I've collected for, you know, it was video when I was at uni, then it was DVD, which I've still got a lot of my DVDs. Then it was Blu-ray. Now it's 4K. So 4K is probably, you know, the thing I got into in the last 4 or 5 years in a big way. 4K is just, the quality is incredible. The sound is amazing. The picture's amazing.
But have you been reluctant each time the technology's changed? Has it taken you a little bit longer than most people?
Yeah, but it's partly to do with money. And again, like with the AI thing, not immediately leaping into the new thing. Like, you know, DVD was exciting when it came out because I always hated VHS as a format. It's rubbish. The quality is terrible. They are dashed off on high-speed machines. The quality is awful. The sound is muffled. The picture is dreadful. So when DVD came out, I was like, this is brilliant. Home cinema, you know.
Do you remember like using a biro to rewind your cassettes?
Well, we had one of those rewinder things that you put it in and it went, you know.
Oh, wow.
But I remember rewinding. We had Betamax as well until like, you know, 19. Because my dad worked at Yorkshire Telly, so he got a Betamax player given to him as part of his job. So like we started renting Betamaxes, so you had to wind them back. So it was like zzz, boom, zzz, boom, and then the tape would deteriorate, you know. But yeah, DVD when that came out, and then when Blu-ray came out, I was astonished. The first Blu-ray I saw was Aliens on a big telly. And the quality of it was just, I mean, 10 times better than DVD. And then 4K is really a connoisseur's format, I would say. Like, if you've got Blu-rays, they're great. But 4K just, not 100% of the time, amps things up a little bit. The sound is incredible. The pictures, they've just given it this real polish that just looks amazing. But yeah, director's cuts and stuff and commentaries I try and listen to, but I don't get the time as much these days. Yeah. But yeah, making ofs. I watch a lot of making ofs, and I read a lot of making of books. So I'm actually reading The Making of Aliens at the moment by Rinsler, who's a sadly deceased author, J.W. Rinsler, who wrote the most amazing film book. So I'm reading about The Making of Aliens, and they had fun making that.
God, they don't make them like they used to.
No, I don't think they can.
And going back to children's movies, back then I mentioned how, you know, E.T. was quite brutal. A lot of the movies at that time dealt with adult themes. I mean, we you know, like we were talking about The Goonies, weren't we? And how like that was like a kid's movie, really, but it was scary, and there were like, you know, hints of adolescence and growing up and becoming an adult, you know. And these days I look at some of the children's movies and they just sort of wrapped up in cotton wool. There doesn't seem to be that same edge that we had. And I wonder if that's actually quite damaging, rather than, you know, what the purpose is to protect, you know, innocence and all the rest of it. But actually it didn't do us any harm, did it?
No, I think kids can take it as well. I think what happens is the generation grows up to become parents, and they start mollycoddling their kids. And I understand, I've got friends with kids and, you know, they want to protect them. Totally get that. They want to shield them from the world. They want to keep them offline. You know, again, I've got young nieces and nephews. I some of the stuff that they've already been exposed to is quite shocking. Like, what? You were watching what on YouTube? World's worst airline crashes. This is my 8-year-old nephew. I was like, let's maybe not do that anymore.
Oh dear.
So you want to protect them, but at the same time, you can get a little bit Mary Whitehouse on it and become incredibly right-wing with your censorship and go, no, kids will not be exposed. It's like kids will find stuff to be exposed to. They just will. Especially these days, you cannot protect them from a lot of stuff. You can put internet bars on, you can put age appropriate, that you can let them rent certain movies or see certain movies or whatever, put your Netflix, settings on, but you can't stop them from doing what they want to do. Again, Aliens, keep coming back to this, but I was, 12 when that film came out, so I didn't see it at the cinema. It was an 18 certificate. But my friend Neil, the year later, rented it for me and him to watch, and his mum let him. She went, well, look, I don't care. You're at home. It's an 18. Nothing. What's the worst that can happen? So when I was 12, 13, I was seeing all these 18 certificate movies, and I loved them. I absolutely loved them. I mean, it kicked off my real love of horror films, watching stuff like The Fly and Hellraiser and on video. Yeah, The Fly really messed me up. I mean, I think about it all the time.
Yeah, same.
Because it's like a realistic horror film. It's like, what if you had a disease where this was happening? And I think, David Cronenberg has said, yes, people have said it's a metaphor for the AIDS crisis and stuff, which is around the time. And like, yeah, well, he said it's whatever you want. It's any disease, and everyone, and the older we get and the more we're aware of it, we're aware that people get ill.
Yeah.
And it's horrific. And that's something that when you're a kid, you start becoming aware of, and probably more so now because the news is all so bad about everything all the time.
That's 24-hour news, isn't it?
24-hour horror. Yeah, that's the horror. Horror movies get whatever people say about horror movies. The news, just watch the news. It's got everything in there.
If you want to make yourself miserable.
Yeah, make yourself miserable and come up with 12 ideas for horror movies. Just stick the news on today. You'll come away a changed person.
Or put it in ChatGPT.
Oh, yeah, that's another scary thing. But yeah, I think kids can take a lot more than you think. You just want to protect them because but for personally, was I so affected by watching The Fly that it messed up my life? No, arguably.
It's quite interesting, isn't it? When you think about when you compare my nephews to us when we were kids. Like if my parents wanted to censor things, then they'd just not let me go around to a friend's house who was, I think when I was about 13, a girlfriend of mine was having a birthday party and they were all allowed to watch a 15 certificate Cocktail with Tom Cruise. And my mum and dad refused. I was like absolutely embarrassed and gutted. And I think it took me until my 20s to finally watch Cocktail.
Really?
Yeah, so it was
I saw that
easier.
one at the cinema. I remember it was 1988. I saw that at the cinema. So again, I was slightly too young. I was 14, but by that point, it doesn't matter. 14, 15, it's almost the same thing.
Yeah.
Beetlejuice as well. Beetlejuice was the first 15 certificate film I saw underage at the cinema. And of course, we've got the sequel this year. Woohoo! Finally. So,
Brilliant.
Things never change, really. It's 35, 6 years later.
Is all the same original cast? Keaton, is he playing?
Oh, yes.
Oh, amazing. Yes. I did not know about this.
This is why I won't do 2 shows a night. I won't. I just love...
my goodness. That was a brilliant impression. That was amazing.
I've seen The Exorcist about 167 times, and it keeps getting funnier every single time I see it.
Yeah, I love that film. And the sequel is going to be great. It's got Keaton in it. Tim Burton's directed again. Jenna Ortega is in it as Lydia's daughter. So Winona's back in it, who I love to bits.
Winnona's brilliant.
Winona, one of my first early crushes, and she's still amazing. She's brilliant.
Well, she's just so interesting to look at.
She's got a great face and she's eccentric and she's got a great voice as well. I love her voice.
Fiercely intelligent.
Very good eyes as well. She's got some of the best eyes in Hollywood.
Yeah, she's got a face for the screen, definitely.
Oh yeah, she's a big star, isn't she? And she's in her 50s now, but still killing it. I think when you get to I'd say our age, but you're mid-40s, Kate, so I'm not going to age you up. But But when you get to this age, you start realizing that youth is not everything. Let's put it that way. I feel like, and again, I'm sure we'll discuss this more. I'm 50 in a few months. I feel like I'm just getting started.
Yeah, same.
With my film career and with myself and knowing myself and all that kind of stuff, if you want to get philosophical.
Yeah, no, it's a good age to be. I mean, like we don't have our youth anymore and things are aching a bit more than they did. And
they are.
Yeah, the face is starting to sag, and I'm speaking about myself, not you. But I don't care because I've never been happier or more confident or more relaxed, and my relationships are enriched. Anyway, it's
exactly.
wonderful.
Well, that's, again, is something we will talk about because filmmaking is about relationships. So there's your segue.
100%. Did you enjoy Stranger Things?
Loved it. I loved it, yes. When it started, I thought, great, this is some great 80s retro nostalgia. It has stuff, The Thing, E.T., The Goonies, all this stuff. The fact that I had Winona in it, I was like, very clever casting. The second series had Sean Astin in it. I was like, great. And I loved it. I do love it. And I think it gets better each series. I think series 1 was the kind of classic because you were like, what is this? This is great fun. Series 2 was like the sequel, as in, let's have some more of the same. It's going to be fun. It's going to be bigger. But then 3 absolutely just nailed it. I thought you had Maya Hawke, who's just incredible, hilarious with Joe Keery as babysitter Steve. And Steve became my favourite character because at the end of the first series, you think, oh, he's such a douche. He picks on, is it Billy?
Yes, I think so.
Charlie Hunt. No, Billy, what's his name?
Yeah. The one with the curly hair?
Yeah. No. I can't believe I've forgotten this. What's the name of the main love interest for Nancy, who isn't Steve? Oh. And he's a British actor called Charlie. I can't believe I'm forgetting this.
I've got Christmas brain still. I've got Christmas brain. I can't think.
He's and he ends up being a really good character. But yeah, I thought Steve was like a right douche. And then at the last episode of series 1, he picks up that bat with the nails in and starts waving it around and going for the Demogorgon. And I was like, Steve's awesome. And then they just took the character of Steve and absolutely just made him just brilliant. So you can never kill Steve off. If they kill Steve off in series 5, I'll be very, very put out.
Yeah, we'll send a complaint form. And in that case, I suppose, there's other genres in this, other series in that genre. Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Good
I've
fun.
enjoyed Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Walking Dead, I really enjoyed it. And then, like a lot of people, I think when Frank Darabont left after series 1, it definitely slipped a bit because they were like, oh, what do we do with this? Series 2 is a bit, but then it got very good. I think halfway through series 2, there's a twist with a young character where you're like, oh, great. And then, all the way up to Negan, which was a really great build-up with the character of Negan, who's just, oh my God, he's so evil. But then he's become something else. I love characters who are redeemed and they used to be evil and now they're not. I love it in Star Wars. I love it in Walking Dead. Characters who used to be evil incarnate who've gone good. I love that trope. It's brilliant.
Complicated characters that sort of feel a bit more human.
Yeah. And then Negan's got his own series spin-off with Maggie, Negan and Maggie.
Oh,
and you're like, it's only 6 episodes so far, but again, you're like, her reaction to him and what he did. I mean, if you haven't seen Walking Dead, no spoilers, Negan does some evil stuff. Maggie has to learn to live with it and forgive him, which is like, how do you forgive the unforgivable? Interesting theme.
Very interesting, because I know what happens.
It's not just zombies. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? I love the zombie genre, but I think the thing The Walking Dead did very well was the sort of relationships and... Yeah.
I think a lot of people think it gets boring because it's about, but it's like formulaic because every series you have the gang that survived, they either have to stay where they are or move to a new community. And then there's arseholes in the new community, whether it's like David Morrissey or Negan or, the governor, all these people. And then they have to overcome them and win. But I think they kept that quite fresh for 10 years. And I think like what happened with Rick and I did keep watching, and then I sort of binged series 9 and 10 because I was like, right, I'm behind. I'm going to binge them. And I loved it. All the stuff that happened post Rick And that's not a spoiler because Rick, they're doing a movie with Rick. So it's like, he wasn't always in every episode. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be really nice and not spoil it for anybody. But if you haven't watched all of The Walking Dead and you love George Romero and Dawn of the Dead, watch The Walking Dead. It's the modern version, you know.
I think what they do really smartly is that they turn the sort of camera almost back on the audience, because all the way through you watch those series, you assume that the characters are the good guys. Like, you know, it's kind of like pointing out something very fundamentally true in life that we're all very guilty of. We're the good guys. They're the bad guys.
Yeah. And that's a very interesting, especially, I don't know, post-pandemic, during the pandemic, whatever we're in now, a lot of people have either gone left, right, or sort of staunch middle, or, you know, everyone's incredibly like all of their gyroscopes are everywhere. Like, am I a fascist because I'm standing my ground? Am I a lefty liberal because I'm standing my ground? Suddenly everyone's...
Miles, there's no room for nuanced debate. Come on, get with the program.
Yeah, but it's that thing of, don't become a bigot, I think is the takeaway. Don't become a bigot. Don't become so entrenched in what you think that everyone else is wrong.
Don't you think it's ironic, though, that the people who generally shout bigot are the ones that are actually being bigots?
Oh, yeah, it's always the same. I mean, I just watched a great clip with Armando Iannucci, who's a fantastic writer, satirist. You know, he did all of the Chris Morris stuff and more, obviously. He said the people that accuse everyone of being woke are usually the most oversensitive, and they're trying to censor everybody. And it's like, why are you trying to, like, complaining about Doctor Who having a trans character and actor? It's like, why are you complaining about it? Why are you censoring it? Because trans people exist. So what's the problem?
The very word woke is horrible, isn't it?
It doesn't really mean anything. It means open-minded.
Yeah. I hate the word Karen as well. Karen's an awful one, because that's just so sexist and horrible.
Also, if you know some Karens, as we do, you know.
Yeah, I know. I do know some Karens. And they're lovely girls, lovely women.
It sucks if you're called Karen and you get called a Karen.
Oh, it's horrible. It's just, I don't like all of that. It's just very strange.
It's just very hateful. I'm not a fan of hatred. And occasionally, like, I've overread stuff online, and Vicky will say, just come offline.
Yeah.
Don't read everything.
It's not real. It's not real.
I was on a website the other day. It was a Facebook page, and I was saying how much I enjoyed Jordan Peele's movies, all 3 of them so far. And I said, I'm looking forward to the next one. And we had like 12 or 13 people going, oh, he sucks, he's rubbish, oh, who the hell are you to say that? I'm like, I just said I liked his films. That's literally what I said. Go away.
Yeah, it's mad. You're better off just not being online.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
If you're feeling merry, go online. It'll instantly annoy you. I was watching What We Do in the Shadows the other day, and Colin, who's the energy vampire. I've only just finished series 2. I'm very behind with it, but I absolutely love it. And I think Tash Demetriou was one of the funniest people ever, and so is Matt Berry. They're all brilliant. But they were sort of saying, Colin said, the great way to suck energy these days is just to go on the internet.
It's funny, isn't it? There's a correlation between not going on Twitter and your level of happiness.
Yeah, there is. I mean, and when you realize that that's true, you're like, what am I doing?
I know. I have a very healthy relationship with Twitter these days. I go on there. I write nice things about people, like I always have, to be honest. And and if sometimes occasionally you'll accidentally say something that you thought was nice and somebody takes as something else, and you're like, oh, for God's sake.
Yeah, and you're like, okay, look, fine, you've got a different viewpoint. I get it.
You could make a movie about it.
Yeah, you know what? I love that genre. There was a subgenre, things like Spree, actually, with Joe Keery from Strange Things, about social media and things like films like Sissy and even Bodies, 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 stuff like that. They've got this subtext of, isn't it awful online? And influencer stuff. And Deadstream is a good movie. It came out last year. It's about a guy who decides to live stream a haunted house experience that goes hideously wrong.
Amazing.
But I love that subgenre. I mean, I would quite happily. I mean, my to name drop my own latest movie, Zomblogalypse, the zombie film. It's not one of those movies. It doesn't not take the mick out of social media and crowdfunding and everything else.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up next, actually, because it leads nicely to your very own zombie movie. I mean, that must have been a dream lived.
Yeah, again, I shout out to my cohorts, Hannah Bungard and Tony Hipwell. We all devised it as a web series in 2008, and then we always talked about doing a movie, and we got the movie made eventually. And again, that's a story we can talk about. But it was unfinished business. Tony always says it was unfinished business. We are going to get this onto the movie screens and onto Blu-ray. So it now sits in all our collections among all the other horror films. The Zomblog movie is there. And it's a cheap, deliberately, because first of all, we couldn't find that much money, but also it's meant to be a vlog show that you're watching on YouTube.
It's very funny.
This is what it started out as, and then it becomes a movie about a bunch of filmmakers trying to make a film.
I love how you take the mick out of yourselves as well, as if you've all gone to some London college and, you're all kind of taking it all far too seriously, but then forgetting.
Terrifyingly casual. I'm just so self-involved. And it's almost like, we're sort of narcissistic to the point of we don't register other people and other people's problems. There's a line in it where I think Tony or Hannah says, how are we going to deliver these perks we're promising? And I say, well, we can't. The arrogance of going, well, we'll just get loads of people to support us and give us loads of money. I know of a few campaigns that have done that. They've not delivered anything years later. And we started to take the mick out of ourselves doing that, because we originally took the film to Cannes in 2013, found a sales agent, got in with a big Hollywood studio. And again, this is something we could talk about. The executive in charge retired. And that was it. That was the end of that.
They moved on.
Yeah, they moved on. So we were talking to the producer at the time, and I said, well, how do we... And he's like, well, we can't go back to them because they'll just be like, well, that was so-and-so's project. And that's what we live in terror of. And this is, currently I'm working with 2 producers, and my terror is that they'll not be able to complete the transaction.
Yeah.
But we're working on it, But if one of them retires, they're both very young. So let's hope nothing happens.
Let's hope. That's like the equivalent of a marketing manager leaving a brand that you've been working with as a graphic design agency.
You've built up a relationship and you've got an in, and then that advocate leaves the chain and the whole thing falls apart because you are then the one going, please, can we still make it? And everyone at the big company is going, well, who the hell are you? I'm like, well, I was working with them and they've gone.
Terrifying.
It's deathly. Yeah.
I think this is the thing people underestimate about Hollywood. You've got the strikes that have been going on. I sort of feel sorry for, obviously it's, required, needed.
Yeah.
But I feel sorry for all the little people who are struggling to get work at the moment, or,
Yeah, I have a lot of friends in the film industry, both Hollywood and England, the UK. It's not England.
What would the English equivalent of Hollywood be?
The British equivalent of Hollywood. There isn't one. I've been trying to be incredibly philosophical about this because from the 90s, when I started to get into making short films and stuff, I've been hearing there is no British film industry. You'll never be Steven Spielberg. It just doesn't happen in this country. And then I had some friends who went off and worked for George Lucas, and they ended up doing a series of jobs that they would both admit were dog's body jobs that didn't really lead to becoming writer-directors. They were the cog in the machine. And I've got friends who've worked at everywhere, Disney, Warner, Universal, who ended up becoming the BBC, who ended up becoming incredibly disillusioned with the whole thing because they realized there are there is indie filmmaking, and then you might as well put the Pacific Ocean in the middle of this. There is Hollywood. I mean, literally, we are separated by the idea and literal space of thousands of miles between there being an independent British film industry that brings in money and Hollywood with its commercial driven
Power.
projects. Yeah. And I'm just going from my own experience. I'm not an expert. I've learned what my place is and what my place isn't. And I've also learned how to reach out to Hollywood and how to work with them and not bang on about being a British and an independent filmmaker. Because if you're talking to someone in Hollywood and they go, "Oh, you're British and independent. Well, why are you working with us then?" It's like, I'm like, please make my script.
Please
so
love
you
me.
learn, please love me. You learn how to work within those parameters, but you also need to get on with stuff. So, yes, I've got a script that's being looked at across the pond, but I also want to get on with some of my own stuff. So I'm not sitting around for the yes. Because then I wouldn't have made 10 movies, as if I wouldn't have made 4 movies in the first 10 years of my independent film career if I just sat around waiting to be accepted.
Yeah.
You know?
It's rejection that you have to deal with as well, I suppose.
Yes, I was thinking about rejection and all the forms of rejection. And there's the rejection you can deal with, which is the horrible rejection. Sorry, kid. No, it's a no. Okay. I've had those. There's the...
Ouch.
Oh, yeah, well, I haven't really... let me just... I'll reread that and then I'll think, that's a rejection and it could go on for 2 or 3 years. I haven't really... I'll tell you what, I'll give it to so-and-so in finance and they can... Have you spoken to them? No. Well, I'll just talk... So there's that, which is like... It's like being stuck in Terry Gilliam's Brazil. It's just paperwork, talks, emails. Nothing's happening. And then there's the worst form of rejection, which is ghosting, which is a real problem in every industry.
Painful.
Like... Yeah, like, oh, I've been ghosted.
Ouch.
I'm never going to hear from them again. And that's happened a few times.
Builds resilience, though.
Well, it does. But I think, again, relationships comes down to relationships. So, I've had to learn as an indie filmmaker, find the money, think of a good idea, get some ideas on paper, try and formulate a script, hopefully with someone else, because then you've got someone to bounce ideas off, which is what I've always done. Never written a script by myself. Find a bit of money, and can you make the film for that money? Yes, do it. Can you not make the film for that money? No, yes, I can't make it for that much money. Right, we'll try and sell it. And I've been doing that for over 10 years now.
Gosh.
But at least I've got 4 movies I can say, well, I've made 4 movies, and they're small, and they're grubby, and they're independent, but they are out there.
You did
and
it.
I made them.
Yeah.
Something quite punk about that, I think. And again, I'm not having a go at people who haven't done that. I'm just saying that was what I wanted to do. I wanted to get to 50 having made a bunch of films, because now I can concentrate on either making more like that, but also becoming a better writer and selling scripts, which is what I've been working on.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It all began for you when you were a kid. You said you made a movie as soon as you'd seen... Was it as soon as you'd seen E.T. or was it something else?
Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones. So 1984, I was 10. I had a friend called Richard Stroob, who I lost touch with actually for no reason. I think he went off to live the other side of the world when we went to secondary school. So that was it really, and we never kept in touch. But if you're listening, Richard, hello.
If you're listening, Richard, email Creative Boom, and we'll put you two in touch. No,
Yeah,
serious. Does this mean I'm Scylla?
Yeah.
Can I bring out Scylla?
Yeah, Scylla's, what's that show she used to do?
Miles,
Surprise.
surprise, he's here right now.
Oh my God. Da, 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 da. And so, I went to see Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom with my dad.
So good.
And he bought me in the foyer afterwards a book, which I've still got, which is an official collector's edition of The Making of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, which has got interviews with the cast and crew. It's got costume designers. It's got storyboarding. It's got model making. And I read that cover to cover, and I still look at it today. And I thought, how is that how they make movies? And there's a quote in it by Spielberg that says, I don't know how we did it. Every time you look at the script, you go, how are we going to do this? But somehow or other, it gets done. And I thought, and that's been my ethos for the last sort of 30 years. But me and Richard went out and shot a 3-minute, 8mm Super 8, 3-minute film of Indiana Jones. I was Indiana Jones, age 10, and I had to run around the woods crack the whip, punch a guy, and then at the end, I think I swung across a ravine, and you think I'm dead. That was the cliffhanger. And we did the sound separately because there's no sound on Super 8, and we synced them up, and we played it to our family. And it was, da, 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 and I was just doing the voice, like going. I remember saying, "I wonder where Belloc's going on his holiday this year," while I was like winding the whip up, that kind of thing. And so that was my first screening for my friends and family. Yeah,
I bet you got an amazing applause.
Yeah, we showed it in Richard's pool room. He had a pool room. We showed it on a little screen in there, and then that was sort of it. From then on, I was recording, little video 8 and high 8 stuff with friends and film parodies and
Great fun.
That kind of thing. And then obviously that developed into bigger budgets, a bit more effort, more lights, better sound, people who could actually act, that kind of thing throughout my 20s and 30s. And then I made my first film that I made properly was in 2009, which was called Crime Fighters.
Crime Fighters?
Yeah, which is about 3 friends who are bored of going to the pub, which is exactly where I was at that point. I was mid 30s. I was like, there must be more to life than working in a job you hate and going to the pub, which is the great dilemma of our time, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so they decide to. So they're sitting in the pub and a fight breaks out and they get into a fight and then they say, well, why don't we become vigilantes and like clean up the town? And so it's that kind of movie. It's a bit kick-ass, It came out the same year actually. And that came out in 2010 and it only cost 10 grand. And it was 10 grand that was given to me by a guy called Herbie Lockwood, who's an incredible friend. And he was on the York Film Trust. And he'd listened to me sort of giving these impassioned talks about how more money should be invested into indie film. And he came out and went, Miles, they're never going to give you any money. You'll never get money this way, but I can give you some money. Oh. So that was that. And then ever since then, that's how I've approached it. But we've sort of run out of that now. We had 2 amazing investors called John and Jane White, who basically bankrolled all my other movies, including Zomblog. And they got to the point where they were like, okay, we're not going to do that anymore. Good luck. And I don't blame them. So then I went, right, well, I am going to have to get friendly with producers now and people who could actually advocate for me in the industry. So I've now hooked up with 2 producers over the last, I'd say 5 years, got a bunch of scripts together, teamed up with a really good pal of mine, Oliver Semple, who was also writing movies. He made a film called Kenneth in 2012. Which was about a man with an ear goblin.
Ear goblin?
And an ear goblin that tells
that
comes
would
out
whisper him.
It's
tell
like
him evil things.
Yeah, I suppose Drop Dead Fred is a comparison. Like it's just okay. Evil thing. And then played by Stephen Mosley, and he now plays Kestrel in a web series called Kestrel Investigates, which is now I'm producing. Oliver writes and directs. We want to do another series and a movie.
I saw a clip of that.
Yeah, well, we did a Christmas special which had the Reverend Lionel Fanthorpe in it from 40 and TV, who was amazing. So these are all the sort of like things. And then Ollie and I, we've got about 3 or 4 screenplays and about 5 or 6 other ideas that we've accumulated over the last 5 years that are now going out to producers, looking for money. I want to direct some of them. Some of them are too big for me to direct because it's the same with the Hollywood script, as I've got a script in Hollywood which I can say nothing about. That is now finding a director, finding a studio. I'm just like, well, I have to just sit back and twiddle my thumbs, but get on with some other movies in the meantime. Have you been over there to do a bit of networking? And not yet. No, I haven't been invited. I think they'll invite me because it's myself and a woman called Christina Kaliris, who's an amazing writer. So we've written this film together. And she's been over a few times, but just coincidentally, because she's quite a woman of the world, really, and I live in a tiny little village in England. But yeah, I'm hoping this year we'll get to go out, and I'm hoping we'll get to do work on the script with a director in a studio and so forth. But in the meantime, best thing I can do is try and get a couple of smaller movies made. But again, we've got a couple of amazing producers who are doing a lot of the legwork, and it leaves me much more time to concentrate on becoming a better writer and not just finding 10 grand and making a movie, which is like, fine, I've done that. How do you stop yourself though from
feeling, running out of hope, feeling despondent, when am I going to get my massive break? Or do you have to kind of realize that your mental health is better off by saying, look, the benchmark is not an Oscar. It's, this next achievable goal?
I mean, that is a huge and important question. And my partner, Vicky, would say she's watched me suffer for the last 10 years trying to get this. She said it's like watching an addict just getting constantly, failing to, or watching someone constantly trying to get a date and being rebuffed time and time again. Her mental health is important, and you do have to realize your place in it, which is you can't rush it. So the best thing you can do is work on yourself, your daily life, make sure you're happy and you like what you do. I have to do bits of work for an income that I don't necessarily, it's all based from home, so that's fine, but it's lots of writing and stuff's not worth really talking about, but it's bits of writing, bits of video based work. And it is hard. Every day I would say I would struggle with, where am I? Are my scripts with the right people? Are they working for me? Are they pushing ahead? I've got a meeting in a couple of weeks with Duncan, one of my producers. He is now going to try and get things further down the road with 2 of our scripts, which are quite commercial. They're low budget commercial, which is a good mix, because they're like, well, how much money do you need? And it's not like 20 million. It's like
Give me $1 billion.
1 billion. And then, but then, again, no one's going to invest in your movie just like that. It has to be will this make us money? And, is it commercial? And who are you going to put in it? Is there going to be a star in it? And all that stuff. This is a sort of real dilemma. But yeah, it's dichotomy is the word I was looking for. But yeah, every day I have to work on my mental health and go, is it that important? Yes. Is it a dream? Yes. But other things will happen today.
Yes. It's the delicate balance. Week. It might not next week, but it could do the week after. So it's that delicate balance of still believing, having that determined self-belief and hope. Yeah.
It's never easy. I can do it, but I don't find any of it easy. And I really love it when people I know do well. Part of me thinks, what am I doing? But people I know in the last few years who've done really well, including Tony from Zomblog and Stuart Spark and Paul Butler, who are 2 friends of mine from York who are putting out the Zomblog DVD, actually, Blu-ray. It's a Blu-ray. They are filmmakers who, again, they've got jobs, but they every day turn up and put 100% effort in, find the money, make movies. They've got their own distribution company now. It's not easy. They've won awards. They're in loads of festivals. They're getting loads and loads of awards, loads of notoriety. Doesn't mean that banknotes are flying through the front door every day. They've still got to keep going. And you get to the point where they're in their 30s. I'm pushing 50, mate. I'm getting really tired. But I know that I've got a bit of a backlog behind me of films I've made. And I know that I've got some scripts out there. So that's what keeps me going. Sometimes it's hard to sit down and write because you know that you're like, another script. I have to sit down and write another script. Well, how long's this one going to take? It's like the film I've got in Hollywood, started writing nearly 8 years ago. Good grief. And it spent a year being written, another year being rewritten by me and Christina, another year finding a producer, another year finding another producer. The pandemic, it was, dallying with studios, and it's only just now sort of kicking off a bit. So it's like every time you start a project, you think, is this going to be 8 years? Is this going to be another 8 years? Because I'm used to indie films having the idea, writing a script, a few months later, rewriting it, a year later, filming it, bringing it out, gets in some cinemas, and that was fine for a while, but that's a hobby. Yeah. I want a career. So the best thing to do is learn to be better.
But isn't there joy in the struggle? That's what I always tell myself. Because if you went and stood on that stage and had that Oscar in your hand, and ultimately, I suppose, in your industry, that's the ultimate benchmark, if you will.
The ultimate badge.
But if you hadn't gone through all this struggle and hopes and dreams being, quashed and, dust yourself off, pick yourself back up, try again. It wouldn't make it worthwhile, I don't think.
No, I think that's very true. I think a lot of people expect to get things very quickly and are disappointed when it doesn't happen, and they either give up and I always go back to one of my heroes, Edgar Wright, who's a fantastic British filmmaker. I'm sure everyone knows.
Yeah.
He says, don't give up is his advice. Don't give up.
Keep going.
But don't give up contains within it a huge, it is like being an addict. It's like, I'm going to fight. It's like being Lieutenant Dan in the storm with his legs off, shouting at the storm, going, is this the best? Is this the worst you can do?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's it. Worst.
Yeah. You're going to have to kill me. And that's not healthy, No. So, but like you say, you have to concentrate on and I've learned to be in the room. This is the thing that I've realized lately. So even when I was writing Zomblog with Hannah and Tony, part of me was outside the room going, oh, and we'll do this and this. Oh, and then we'll do this. And, I'm going to go online and do this. And I think the pandemic made me slow down and go, well, I can't go out and do anything because we're all on lockdown. So when I finally did have a meeting with my producer and my writer for the Hollywood one, we had a 3-day meeting at one of their houses. And we just sat in a room and we did a page 1 rewrite. Why is this character doing this? Why is that joke in there? Why is that line in there? Why does she turn around and do this? Not because it's cool. Why does she do it? And then how does that lead to? And we worked with a Hollywood script developer who helped us he was like, no, it's still not quite. No, you've made her go off and do this for no reason and all that. And I learned, I think, during that period to concentrate on, is a script good enough? Is this page good? Not, is the 90 pages good? Is this page good? Why is that joke in? And I watch so much stuff on telly and film where I'm like, why is that line in there? Doesn't need to be in there.
Yeah.
That line's from something else. It's like, fine, we're all referencing other stuff. That line's from something else. That's an old joke. That could have been better. And just be in the room and listen to the people you're collaborating with. Again, it goes back to being a daydreamer. I always had one eye out the window at school. I was like, oh, look, it's a sunny day. I'd rather be off doing something else. I once skived school. I can say this now. It was a long time ago. At age 13, to go and see Inner Space at the Harrogate Odeon, which is a film I love. I was obsessed with it. It kicked off this real passion of going to see films by myself. And I love going with my mates, but I went to see Inner Space and I skived school, age 13, which these days you could end up in jail for or getting your parents fined or whatever.
But you ended up doing it was research for your future career.
That was research, to quote Daisy in Space, yeah.
Yes,
exactly. But I don't think anyone will ever make anything as good as Spaced.
We're watching it again, actually. Going back to comforts.
I'll watch it. Several times a year I'll watch it. I just don't think I think it sums up our generation.
Yeah.
What generation are we, Katie? Generation X?
I'm a Zennial.
Oh, yes.
So I'm a very special between 1977 and 1980, I think. There's a very sort of tiny window. So I'm the last generation to have grown up analog and enter adulthood digital.
Oh, I see. That's fun. Yeah, whereas actually, by the time email came around, I was already 20, 21.
Wow.
People started talking about, have you done this email thing? I was like, what? What's that?
MSN or Hotmail, was it?
Yeah, and Internet Explorer and all that. But so yeah, it's been an interesting journey. But I think the more you change, the more you stay the same. And I think when I look at myself at age 13, skiving school to go see Inner Space, I haven't changed. I haven't changed in 35 years.
The one thing that will have changed for both of us is that we haven't got the same kind of energy. No. There's a joke, stand-up comedian, what's he called? Greg, is it Greg Davis? And he says,
from In-Betweeners.
Yeah, and he
cracks me up.
He's so funny. In one of his sort of recent stand-ups, he just looked at all the young people in the audience. I think he asked who's in here that's under 40 or something. And he went, look at all you young people, full of hope. And it was so true. So you and I don't have the same energy.
No.
Perhaps, I feel like you and I get things done. So we are very energetic, but not the same as our 20s.
God, no. I think to quote Adam and Joe again, they used to say at the beginning, this is a high density program. So start recording because you can wind it back and look at all the bits. I have high density work days. So a friend of mine recently said when it came to crewing up a film, they could do it from bed on their phone. And it's true. I was chatting to Ollie the other day about doing a new episode of Kes, and he just went, can you find me 3 actors and a location? So I was on my phone. Yeah. Can you do? Yeah. Can you do? Yeah. That's how I do most of my stuff. And I could work between 11 and 1 and do a day's worth of work or 2 days worth of work, or speak to a university about doing some special effects for me, or speak to someone about a script and stuff. And then by 1 o'clock, I could quite happily nap for an hour and then groggily come to around 2:30, have a cup of tea, do a bit more work. And then, well, what have you done today? Well, I've done this.
Yeah. It's just a sort of change in how we sort of, approach things, I suppose.
Yeah. And also energy related stuff wears me out now. So if you said, right, could you just get on the phone to so-and-so, or could you email so-and-so? I will come up with, and Vicky's like this as well, we'll come up with 100 ideas in an hour. And then that's it, I'm exhausted. But most people might spend a day. They'll turn up at work, have a bit of coffee, a couple of hours brainstorming, have a bit of a break, go for lunch, come back, bit of in the afternoon. Okay, 5 o'clock, what did I come up with? 50 ideas, brilliant. Well, you've just spent 9 hours on that. I spent 2 hours and I came up with twice as much as you, because that's the way my brain works. But it doesn't mean I could sit and do a 9-to-5 job.
So actually the advantage is, you've got more experience and therefore can do the same job faster than your younger self.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Work smarter, not harder, I think is the thing. Because people, and some people have jobs where they have to bust their asses. But when it comes to movies, it is an absolute shocker of the amount of work you have to do, the prep work. And a lot of it is yes, maybe, yes, probably, yes, just get back to me on that. And I don't have the energy for it. But I'll keep doing it. But
have you ever worked anywhere?
Yes, I've had jobs. So I always class the noughties as my dark period, because I took any job I could get. Now I wasn't down the mine. Vicky's Welsh. She always goes, do I have to go down the pit? No, you don't have to go down the pit.
Like our ancestors.
I worked at 2 bookshops, a publishing house.
Was one
this
a
is
comic?
all in the noughties. Yeah, I worked in a cinema. I worked and then I did various video-related jobs in the teens when Vicky and I ran our own company. So I had 10 years after uni of doing jobs, which I didn't enjoy, didn't earn much money, but wrote a lot at work. Very naughty. And then in the teens, Vicky and I ran our own company. So we were making movies, short films, a magazine, that kind of thing. We were called One Another. And then One Another Creative, which was not dissimilar to what Creative Boom does, actually, just on a smaller scale, because it was quite York-based. We were trying to sort of big up the York creative scene. Nice. So we were self-employed for 10 years and we did that. So I realised during that period I could never have a boss again. Because at school and also in jobs, when a boss would tell me what to do, part of me would think,
no.
You. Do it better than me and I'll start respecting you. I'm still friends with 2 of my managers that I had at Borders. I used to work at Borders in York. Rob and Andy, who are both now writers. So it's no wonder we got on.
Yeah.
Rob runs the Literary Festival and Andy is a horror writer for a horror magazine.
Amazing.
And they're great.
Oh, I bet that's a fun job.
Yeah. They enjoy, but again, they both have other work. You have to be realistic. If someone said to me, well, how do you earn money now? I'd be like, I don't earn a lot, but any money I do earn, I earn from home doing writing stuff. So if you want something written, you can hire me and I'll write it off the radar while doing my own stuff. But I work from home. So yeah, I've had jobs is the short answer to that long rant. But I get the sense, Katie, that like you, I wasn't cut out for jobs.
No, I didn't like having a boss. But I remember going to my first job interview wearing a pencil skirt suit. That was the days. And then I was very delighted to discover the creative industries and realize you could go to job interviews in jeans and trainers. It was wonderful.
Well, I've realised, looking at myself now, that I've basically turned into George Lucas. I wear a flannel shirt and jeans and trainers nearly every day because partly due to the pandemic, I used to make a bit more effort. I used to wear tweeds and stuff, and I will again because when the weather's cold, I love to put on some tweeds or just a nice jacket and stuff. But yeah, I did not. It's like Spaced. That's what it's like. Spaced came out and Tim and Daisy did not want jobs, and any job they went to, they ended up feeling like an absolute turd. So they ended up going, I can't do it. But
didn't she go into
creative.
a magazine? She went into a magazine.
Yeah,
a really
that's
pretentious feminist magazine in London.
Flaps.
She wasn't. She
It was
stoned.
called Flaps. Yeah, she had a. Oh, it's from Flaps. She had a doobie on the way, and then she thought a squirrel was following her. She said, I was followed by a squirrel. I saw it 5 times. And the person at the interview says, or maybe it was 5 different squirrels.
Yeah.
And she just goes, aha! But that's how I feel about the world, is Tim and Daisy in space. That is me. And I watched it, I went, that's me. I am both of them. I am I am the writer at home with sort of that, like we were talking about, that agenda. Like, I've got to do some writing. I've got to earn some money. I've got to get some, but you can't rush it. You can't go, I tell you what I'm going to do today. I'm going to write a film that sells out in Hollywood next year. So I'll just go do that now. What you have to do is go, do I put myself through this again? But I can't. It's my brain is just receiving information from the cosmos that goes, here's a good idea for a film. Go on, write it down on your phone. Go on. And I'm like, oh God, leave me alone. But these things do eventually come to fruition, so it's worth it. I feel sorry for people who haven't been able to follow their creative thought pattern. I know a lot of people who, unlike me, settled down in their 30s to have kids and now are going in their late 40s and 50s going, what the fuck do I do now? I need to get back into, whereas I'm like, what have I done with my life? I've made some silly films.
Failed continuously.
Yes. Not faced up to
not won anything.
Being a human. Yes. I haven't got much to show for it apart from a partner and a dog that I love very much.
And movies that you've made and loads of amazing friends.
My babies, the movies, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I must say I've made some amazing friends along the way. Yeah, I have. And again, I've mentioned Ollie. I have to mention Annie Grace, who's also a friend of mine, who's an amazing scriptwriter. And she and I have swapped ideas. One of the films I'm making this year, hopefully, was her idea. So that's going to be exciting if that comes off. But again, it's this exchange of creativity.
And yes, and realising you can't do it on your own.
No.
And you kind of get to a stage in life where you're like, okay, I'm going to stop reaching for this impossibly high mountain. Because there was a really lovely metaphor, and I don't know if I'm stealing it from a book or something else, or if my lovely dear Tom mentioned it, but it's like, in life, it's almost like you're always climbing this mountain. And you might get to the top of the mountain, and you might get to the top of that and look around and go, oh, hell, there's another mountain over there.
Another one. Yeah.
So I'm going to walk over there. And then you might just be doing this forever. So the way I kind of like would reassure myself, if I was a filmmaker, scriptwriter, producer, what have you, who was really trying to get that big break, what would I feel like if I had that big break? What would I feel like if I had that Oscar? Would I feel satisfied? Would I say, okay, now I've made it. This is what I've been working towards my whole entire life. Or would I feel really kind of like crushed and suddenly, oh, what do I do now? I've kind of done it all. So this is what I mean when I come back to, is the joy in the struggle? Isn't it just wonderful that we struggle?
It is, and then that's life, isn't it? I mean, you see, I mean, I'm getting very philosophical here. I go out into the countryside where I live, and I see, birds and beasties, and I just think, well, I sound like Brian in Life of Brian. Look at the birds. Do the birds have jobs? He says the birds are scrounging. But I mean, it's that kind of thing. Like that's enough for them is waking up, finding some food and feeding their babies and getting cozy. And that's enough for me most days. But I also have this burning ambition. I am ambitious. I will admit it. I am ambitious, but I'm also hopeless. So I'm slightly hopeless. It's like, So what do you want to do? Well, I want to make movies and sell them and have them seen in Hollywood. It's like, oh, but anything else you want to do? And I'm like, I want to make movies and see them in Hollywood. I'm like, okay, all right, fine. So thankfully, Vicky is incredibly supportive, and she's like, look, she's got her own career. She's a journalist. She's like, it's going to work out. It is working out. It is, have been, will be super brilliant soon. But she also knows if I was fooling myself, she'd be like, you need to go and talk to a producer. You need to go and do this. You need to go and do that. And she makes sure that I am doing that. You know, why don't you do some writing? She's super positive, you know, why don't you? And she's someone she's got a chronic illness. She's got Crohn's disease.
Oh.
So she's had to have a daily assessment of, am I happy? Am I comfortable? Am I fulfilled? Is life good? How is my health and all that kind of stuff? And I'm touch wood, a healthy person. So I'm able to go, good, I'll take that attitude and I will try and put it to my life. You know, am I happy? Am I working with the right people? Am I doing everything I can to implement that happiness? Yes. If not, do something today about it. Or just have a nap. You know? Naps
just
are
allow
amazing.
some self-care.
Yes. And having been my own boss for the last 13 years and working from home mostly, I can have a nap whenever I want, you know. Yesterday, Vicky and I stopped and had a proper lunch, you know, things like that. But am I enjoying writing? Am I enjoying ideas? Am I enjoying, and I got to say, the last 5 years working with Ollie, we talk every day. Vicky's like, you talking to Ollie again? Of course I am. About ideas we have. Will this turn into a script, or shall we just bash ideas around for now? Shall we get this down on paper? Who should we send it to? So I've got a very, very healthy creative outlet every day with Ollie, and then with some of the other films in every few months when I hear from them, the ones that are out supposedly working for me.
Oh, it just sounds like a load of fun. And the thing, if I was in your sort of situation, I would think, okay, it's great fun doing budget movies and working with what you've got and all scrambling together and making things work.
Yeah.
But like, I suppose there's a part of you that's like, oh, if I just had like Hollywood budget, it would be so amazing, because I could hire Annie Atkins, the graphic designer who specializes in the amazing kind of things that you see in the film, like she does with Wes Anderson. Or I could hire this, I could bring in, an orchestra and,
my God, seriously, orchestras.
Who's your favorite composer?
John Williams.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've got a lot of them. I love a lot of more recent ones like Michael Giacchino, and obviously Hans Zimmer's phenomenal and stuff, but John Powell is great as well. Sarah Schachtenberg is amazing. She did the music for Prey, which is the Predator prequel. Oh my God, I love that soundtrack.
I have to put that on.
Danny Elfman. But yeah, Williams, I had a concert on the other day. Actually, Murray Gold as well, who does the soundtrack for Doctor Who, is a genius. You can, I think there's a couple of days left, probably not at the time this goes out, to listen to the Doctor Who at 60 orchestra in Wales. I just love his music, his leitmotifs and stuff. Although he did a rather good quip, because Zoe Ball said, who was it that came up with the idea for doing themes for each of the characters in Doctor Who? And Murray Gold thought a second and went, I mean, it was Wagner.
Oh,
originally, because it was originally came up with the leitmotif, didn't he? So it's like, But I mean, Star Wars, any of the new Star Wars composers, Kevin Kiner. I love Star Wars. I haven't really talked about Star Wars. Amazingly,
talked about Star. I'm amazed, given that your home office is full of Star Wars posters.
I could seriously just do a podcast where you and I talk about Star Wars. I mean, I could talk all day about Star Wars, new and old, expanded universe and animation and films and TV. So I love it all, and it's always been inspiring.
Did you fancy Luke Skywalker first, like me, and then later fancy Han?
I always fancied Han more, Well, I wanted to be him, you know what I mean? I always idolized Han Solo, and I remember rediscovering sort of Empire Strikes Back when it came out on video when I was probably about 10 or 11, and I just thinking Han Solo in Empire Strikes Back is the coolest thing ever, Come on, Chewie. He's just so cool.
He's
and
so cool.
I'm
so
listening
hot.
to the Star Wars radio drama at the moment. because I listened to it as a kid. It's got Mark Hamill in it and Anthony Daniels, and it's expanded and most of it's canon these days the Star Wars radio drama is just amazing. So yeah, I always had idolized Han Solo and sound design and the sound design of it by Ben Burt and the sound effects and the music. And that starts to build up. So you start going, I want to make movies so I can work with a sound designer, so I can work with a composer, so I can be in a room with an orchestra playing my score.
Costume design as well. Oh.
Costume design. Yeah. I've already worked with some incredible people. And I have a website which has got all my movies on it that you can actually go and see all this work by these amazing people.
Most of the URL, please?
It's just mileswatts.com.
Thank you very much.
So that's got the 4 movies that I've got. And most of them 2 of them are free, and one of them 79 pence.
Oh.
And to own.
We should all buy that.
And one of them is Zomblog, which has just come out on Blu-ray. So again, they're there. And I've worked with some incredible people. I mean, again, I could reel off a huge list of names, but they're all in the credits. But I actually had a dream last night about one of my cinematographers having a go at me for not knowing my words. And it was Jenny. Jenny Suitiala is a Finnish cinematographer she lives in York these days. She shot kind of two of my movies, 2.5 of my movies. I want to work with her again. She is incredible. She's an amazing visualist. So again, I'm hoping to reconnect with some of the people that I have worked with before, but also work with some new people. That's the joy of it, is the collaboration, right? From everything from ideas and scripts to let's talk to that composer. We had a great composer on Zomblog, Alexander King. Again, he brings, can you do this? Can you score this scene? Can you do this? And he sends the soundtrack in, and you're like, mate, how do you do it? I don't understand. You've put thoughts and ideas into music. How do you do it? And he's like, well, you write scripts. I'm like, yeah, scripts.
Great.
It's not music, is it? You can't sit and entertain someone by reading a script. I mean, you can, but music, and I'm jealous of people who are creative in other ways to me. So illustrators and musicians, I'm very jealess of them.
I'm the same. I wish I could do it all, but we can't. We need to. Sometimes we just have to accept what our speciality is and get better at that one thing. And with that in mind, because we've been talking about the magic of Hollywood, and I've really enjoyed this chat. It's just been so lovely.
Me too.
Let's wrap this up now. And I really want to ask you, and given everything that you've sort of learned and gone through over the last few, dare I say it, decades?
Yes, you can say that.
What's the kind of standout lesson from all of this, from being a filmmaker, from doing what you do?
I think, again, be true to yourself. Don't give up, and focus on what you want to say and what you feel like you want to do. If you love the films of Joe Dante, watch them all the time, copy them, make your own versions, copy people, and then develop your own voice and listen to your own inner voice and what you want to say. What annoyed me today? Well, write about it. Write every day, even if it's a paragraph. That is so important. Just pour energy into your creativity, because no one's going to do it for you. If you don't do it, it will dry up. And you are going to have to get back into it anyway. I always describe it as the misery cul-de-sac. So it's like, we all have times in our life when you could go down the misery cul-de-sac, but the only way out of the misery cul-de-sac is back out the entrance. So don't bother spending much time in the misery cul-de-sac where there is no happiness, no creativity, no light, no passion, no excitement. You see that every day online. Fuck it. Go leave the misery cul-de-sac and stay in I haven't got further than what's outside the misery cul-de-sac, but just don't go there. I grew up in a cul-de-sac, by the way. It wasn't a misery cul-de-sac, but for some reason I've got no imagination. That's the metaphor I've chosen.
I also grew up in a cul-de-sac, and it was indeed magical and safe and warm and all embracing, and some kind of like Goonies childhood, really.
I wonder if it psychologically affected us growing up in a cul-de-sac.
Potentially.
Yeah.
I mean, are you bad with noise? Are you bad with noise? Like, could you live near a motorway?
No, I like the quiet. I live in a house in a small village which has basically no sound. I grew up, next to one of my mates growing up lived in the cul-de-sac called Pete. And the cul-de-sac wasn't called Pete. It was called St. Winifred's Road in Harrogate. But yeah, I think, no, I like the quiet. I like one-on-one. Again, that's something I've leaned into very much. I used to sort of go, oh, I'm going to be, when I was a student, I'm going to be social. And gradually it's got smaller and smaller. I'm like, I can't do it anymore. I don't have the energy. I don't have social energy. I'm definitely, I'm an extroverted introvert, I think is what I am. And I would rather be one-on-one. So talking to you, one-on-one, perfect. Talking to Ollie about our script, one-on-one. Talking to a producer and possibly Ollie at the same time. That's about as much as I can take. Or I'd be quite happy addressing a room of film students, because that sort of feels like one-on-one because they're all listening.
Yes.
they're not all talking over me. So I like the quiet. Quiet.
I was just going to say, I was going to finally torture you and say, here is a Oscar.
Yes.
Miles, you've won.
Thanks, I'll take it. Bye.
All right, okay. I was going to ask for your acceptance speech. Have you ever written it?
Yes, I have. But it's sort of a joke assessment of what I'm grateful for. And I would say I would like to thank, first and foremost, Vicky Parry, my partner, and our dog, Edgar Allan Pup, for being the reason I do all of this. And I would like to thank every connection I've ever made, because it's brought me to this day, whether or not I knew it at the time. So it's a celebration of the everyday and the long journey, as well as the sort of going, and where are you now? Well, I'm quite happy.
Well, this
and
is
cheers
great.
for the Oscar.
Yeah, thank you. See you at the after show.
And I suppose I'd say thanks, Mum and Dad and my sisters and stuff. But then you start getting into, naming everybody.
And then everyone's starting to go,
Then they put the music on. Da, 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 and you go, no! Like Martin Landau. He's like, no, God.
Dun, 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 dun. And that's what I'm going to do now with you, Miles. Dun, 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 dun.
Fade me out.
Oh, thank you so much for joining us and telling us all about your career so far. And please do not forget us when you become very, very, very famous and knock Spielberg off the top spot.
That'd be nice.
And when you next shoot a movie, can I come down and just sort of watch like a weird kind of
you can
voyeur?
Absolutely come down anytime.
Amazing.
And you can see the madness. We had a friend of mine's aunt and uncle visited the set of Zomblog, and he happened to arrive on a day when I was directing, acting and fighting zombies with a baseball bat. And I was like, it's the movies, because every day is not like that on a film set.
Do you use real blood? I'm asking too many questions now.
I have really bled. Let's say we've all really bled. But no, we use the sort of, it's like
Theatre.
Gooey syrup. Yeah,
Awesome.
it's actually, it tastes like mint, weirdly. It's minty gooey syrup.
Oh, love it. Oh, God.
Yeah.
You've made all my dreams come true anyway. I would love to make a zombie film, but there you go. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, Katie. It's been a real pleasure. Thanks for asking me.
Thanks to Miles Watts for joining us this week. If you're enjoying the podcast, please do subscribe via creativeboom.com/podcast. That's where you can also find more information about today's guest and also dive into our archive. Join us next time when we'll be chatting with Lee Roylston, Chief Growth Officer at Jones Knowles Ritchie, one of the biggest, most respected creative agencies in the world. And we'll be talking about the importance of brand and not losing sight of what makes you, well, you. See you then.